Hello and welcome to this guide for document settings and options of Essay Writer. So as you can see on the screen, we're just going to jump straight into it. We've already got our Essay Writer software open. We've got a mind map open there, as well as the text and table of contents on the side. So this tutorial we're going to be looking into our tools feature and mainly into our document settings and document options to see what we can change, and we can look at the defaults for. So we're going to jump straight into document settings here. So this is where we can look at our text view settings and change them ever so slightly. So at the moment it is always on numeric. So each section, if I take this out the way, each section we can see that number 8 is our table of contents, so it's always in numeric. If you have a student or yourself and you don't like to work within numbers, I'm thinking of more of those students or yourself, if you're dyscalculic for example, you may prefer to work with letters, so you can change it to alpha. Numbering scheme per level is shown underneath there as well, so you can change that per level as well. So if you prefer Roman numerals, so you can see a difference. So when it says per level, that is, if we go back to our map, this one's probably a good, click into it. This one's probably a good area because as you can see we've got stress and we've got a subcategory under stress, and then each of those have got categories underneath. So say for example we want to stay with our numeric numbering style, numbering scheme per level. So our first level here, which is stress, is going to be 1 and 2s. Our second level here is going to maybe be A's and B's, and our third level, which is all of our extra items there, maybe our Roman numerals. So you can visually see, you've got number 1s, you've got your letters, and you've got your Roman numerals on each level. So you can change those to however that suits, or you can keep it just numeric if it's just a case of I'm wanting to use these numbering styles and systems just to be able to see where I am and know what's in what order. You don't necessarily have to change those. You can choose to include the idea titles, you can take that off so it doesn't include them. However, I would always say to keep them on, otherwise you're not going to have any of your text here. But again, it's just optional. It's all about going through these settings and these options in this tutorial, and what you can do with them. You can use colours as well, so if you want particular default colours, so everything that you change in this area will be defaulted, so you're not going to have to change it individually. Again, some people have particular text fonts and colours that they work best with, others just prefer to change it as they go because it helps them process things that bit better. It's entirely up to you how you use it, as long as you know that this is available and you're aware of how you can utilize the settings. So page breaks, you can, if you want a chapter for example on each individual page, it will make sure that once you've finished, say, chapter 1, it will make a new page break when you come to export, if that is ticked. If it's a whole new document, say you've got several maps on the go, it will page break those maps for a new page, if that is what you're wanting. Line spacing, again, if you want more spaces in between your words, less spaces in between words. So this is everything that you're going to see in this text area here. Just be mindful because we're in text view. If you want an indentation, you can have indentations, so that is if it comes in slightly over in your text area. You can have headers and footers in automatically here if that's not something you wanted to do in Word. I know some people just like to add it in Word afterwards, but if you wanted to, you can add header and footers in here. Text style, so this is just setting the defaults again in this text area. So if you prefer to work in a certain font size, certain font color, if black on white doesn't work for you, you can change that here as well. So this is where you can change it, so you might want a different background color for highlights, selections and things like that. Just anything that you want to change, you can change your color schemes here. Same with your paragraph structure. So if you're using the paragraph tool and the section tool, you can change the different topic colours here. We will go into different text tools in a different tutorial. It will likely be called text tools, where you'll be able to see how this paragraph structure works, but this is where you would change the colouring to that paragraph structure. If I tick here, you can see an example of how that paragraph structure works just within settings. But as I say, there'll be a different tutorial on text tools and stuff as well, so we can have a look into that. Presenter, so this is presenter mode. Again, we'll probably have a very short tutorial on presenter mode as well, so you can have a little look at that. It is in the walkthrough webinar as well. We look through presenter option and that, so if you want to have a look through the full webinar, it's there as well. But again, this is just where you change any of those defaults. So if you don't like the 3D view, you can change that, and you can keep, when it goes into presenter mode, you can keep the map looking exactly the same, because at the moment it's defaulted to switch into that 3D view when it goes into presenter mode. You can take the rotation off and just have a static map. Again, it's just taking all of these options and making them your own. Button size as well, if you want, you know, a large size button, if you want people to be able to see those features. So that's your sort of play, stop, forward and back. You can change where they are. So at the moment they're defaulted to be in the top left when you're in presenter mode up here. You can change them to bottom left, top right, bottom right, and so on. You can have automatic mode, so if it's automatic, it will just skip through that presenter mode and that PowerPoint as you were itself. You won't have to click. However, that can stress some people out, because it'll often find that it'll move through the presentation quicker than they can. So often automatic mode is off, but if you wanted to set a particular timer, for example, you may not be great with times in presenter mode, you can allocate specific, you know, so 60 seconds, if you've got like a minute per slide, it will automatically move you on, you know, to move with it. So it can be useful in that sense. Table of contents, this is why I've got this open, just so I can show you visually. I'll just make this a bit smaller so we can see them side by side. So you've got label numbers and appears in the table of contents, so you can choose to turn sort of items off, so label numbers and stuff can be turned off. Here you would just untick it. If you want certain subsections, so you might have, you know, 2.2.1, for example, 2.2.2, so you might have all these subsections under diets here, and it might become a little bit much for a table of contents, so you can limit it to what areas and what level you want the table of contents to show. So you can just reduce it there, so if you literally just want it per chapter, it will be just per chapter here. So it's up to you whereabouts you want to sort of break that off. At the moment we've got 2 levels there, because we've got our chapter 2 and then our sort of subsections under chapter 2, but if it were to get any further, you can reduce that here. Again, it's just a case of these settings is just clicking through, but it's just nice to have a little tutorial on roughly what it is that they do. So again, same thing as what they want to show. If you want the word counts as well, so it's got your word counts for each individual section. You might just want to see the full chapters rather than the individual sections. You might want to see individual sections. So for example, in our medical chapter, you're just seeing the total words for that chapter. However, you might want to look into each individual sections, and you know, you might see, looking at the word numbers, that actually I've spent an awful lot of time on hospitals and there's barely anything on the specialist practitioners. Maybe I need to balance that out. So again, it's just something that you can utilize to roughly see where you are with your essay, for example. You can indent each level as well, so if you want these sort of pushed in slightly, you can have those indented if that's how you work. So again, it's just all personal preferences. Our bibliography, I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail there, because we have a separate tutorial video for referencing only, where I go into all the details of bibliography and how you can change different styles. Same with our image and our table references as well, because that's all reference related. So that's all within the referencing only video, which will also be uploaded. Import and export settings are also related to referencing, which will also be in that video, so I won't be discussing those today, but I just wanted to highlight those so you know I'm not missing anything within the settings and options video. So we're just going to cancel that. And in our options section here, so this is just our general program, idea map view, spell checker, text to speech, clip art, etc. Just general things where you can go to find certain elements. So folders, appearance and interface are all up here. So we do have an autosave feature, so if yourself or your students are terrible for forgetting things all the time and often forget to save things, you can enable autosave for as often or as less frequently as you like. Appearance, again, if you don't like the standard Arial font, you can change it. Icon size, if your icons up here are slightly too small, you can make them larger. If they're too big for you, you can make them smaller. It's just personalising every element of Essay Writer to your individual needs. Making sure that's on English. And then this is your program file, so this is just where you would find everything to do with Essay Writer. Idea map view as well. This is just your zoom range. If you don't want it to zoom in as much, you can reduce that. Same with styles as well. If you want them lighter, darker, with the brightness, if you think that's if that's a little bit too bright for you, you can dim that down in your settings and have that as defaulted. Spell checker, just making sure it's on the right one. We do it in different languages as well, so we've got Welsh there. You can import your own languages as well. Subject specific dictionaries as well. It shows you the folder, so if you've got specific dictionaries, so for example this mind map is within health, you might have certain healthcare words or abbreviations that don't come up regularly. Your university may provide you with a dictionary document. As long as you copy and paste it into this area, you'll be able to use it and enable it. You can also add your personal word list as well. So again, your dictionary is within this file here, and you can add and delete words here as well. So if your university haven't provided you one, you can create your own and it will acknowledge that in spell checker, so you're not having to constantly do that. Text to speech is very simple at the moment, very basic. We are working on developing this area, but you can enable it if you wish. I will try and test it and hope my microphone does pick that up. I'm not sure if my microphone would have picked that up, but it was just an automated voice, and when you click test, and it does go into the try that option and just reads that sentence out. So you can change your volume, your rate and your pitch again to suit your needs. A clip art viewer here as well, so it just shows you whereabouts you find those clip arts, shows you those images, if you want certain icon sizes, if you've got a folder that you want to show, if you want to show less or more. Same with text editor, the size of this text here, so if you want it smaller or less, and the same with table, if you want it smaller or if you want it bigger. And finally is the phrase bank options as well. So these are just our simple essay and academic phrase banks. So make sure these are all enabled. It's always good to have because then you can use those in your text options. Phrase banks will also be discussed in the text tools tutorial as well. So I won't go into too much detail of those just yet. I will show you in that tutorial. So that is everything for our settings and options. I hope this has been useful for documents, sort of defaults and settings. Look forward to speaking to you all again in the other tutorials. As usual, if you have any questions at all, if you go onto the Essay Writer website, and you can contact me through there, and we'll be able to answer any questions you may have, any suggestions as well. Always open for those.